Alrighty, YouTube Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video here. So it's official, Adam Peters is leaving the 49ers. He's officially been hired as the Commanders' general manager and head of football operations, so he gets more power with Washington than he did with the 49ers. Obviously, with Adam Peters, he started off as a vice president of player personnel with the 49ers. He was John Lynch's first hire in 2017 when Lynch came to San Francisco. Obviously, with Adam Peters, he's been one of the most sought-after potential GMs in the league for the past 2 to 3 seasons. And I said yesterday that there's no other better time for Adam Peters to move on than now, considering all of these teams that obviously currently need new head coaches and new GMs and things of that nature. So, look, it is what it is. I expected Adam Peters to eventually move on, so this is not really surprising to me, at least. He's been John Lynch's right-hand man for some time now. He had say in drafting Brock Purdy and Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner and George Kittle. So, the guy kills drafts in later rounds, and he simply showed that during his time with the 49ers. But at some point in time, it was always, there was always that possibility that he could leave. And the past couple seasons, he declined interviews. It seems to me like he was waiting for the right team to come along, and they did, and that team is the Washington Commanders. So obviously, he's been nothing but great with the 49ers. The Commanders have still technically are keeping Martin Mayhew, or they at least have him under contract still, which is, again, another 49ers current or another former 49ers executive in their front office. So, with the Commanders, he's going to be tasked, with organizing the leadership beneath him in the front office. It's also possible that Martin Mayhew could be reassigned roles, or obviously Adam Peters could come in, and this could be a move where I guess he's taking Martin Mayhew's role. But, Adam Peters is going to bring extensive title contending experience to the Commanders. He spent 8 years with the Broncos, first as a scout, then as director of college scouting. He helped identify, Pro Bowlers for the Denver Broncos like Justin Simmons and Chris Harris Jr. He was on the New England staff from 2003 to 2008 when, they won 2 Super Bowls. So, obviously his background could inform the Commanders, top targets for their head coach vacancy under new controlling owner Josh Harris. So, they've obviously, requested to interview Bobby Slowick, who is the Texans offensive coordinator, for their head coaching vacancy. Now, Bobby Slowick also came from the 49ers as well. He spent 6 years under Kyle Shanahan with the Niners. He joined San Francisco during the same season. Adam Peters began working for the team. So, obviously, a name to watch for the Washington Commanders head coaching job, without a doubt, is going to be Bobby Slowick. Again, he's worked with Adam Peters. He came to the Niners the same year that Adam Peters did, and he worked with Bobby Slowick. So there's some familiarity there between Adam Peters and Bobby Slowick. I don't know if you can sit here and label a guy like Bobby Slowick already head coach ready. I don't know if that would be the case for Slowick, but if there's anybody that would know, it'd be Adam Peters. And if he feels as if Bobby Slowick is the right guy for this job, for the Commanders head coaching job, obviously as a Commanders fan, I'd be all for it. Like, Commanders are getting a well put together type of guy in Adam Peters. They're getting a guy that has built numerous amount of contending rosters. He's drafted well, again, in later rounds. San Francisco hasn't drafted too well in earlier rounds in the Shanahan and Lynch era, but when it comes to late-round picks, that's majority of our starters are not first-round picks. Deebo Samuel, obviously second-round pick. Ayuk was a first-rounder, but you look at the core guys, Fred Warner, fifth-round pick. Dre Greenlaw, George Kittle, fifth-round pick. Talanoa Hufanga, I believe, was a fifth-round pick as well. So this guy drafts well in later rounds. Commanders, I think that's something they have kind of struggled on in recent years is drafting well, and you're not going to have an issue with Adam Peters when it comes to drafting. Like, this guy knows his stuff when it comes to drafting players. And, again, that's something that the Commanders have missed and that have been missing. But, again, I mean, it's a great hire for the Commanders. I think when you look at the Commanders, their fan base has been constantly let down when it comes to, hiring the wrong GMs and hiring the wrong head coaches. So I definitely think that Adam Peters would be the guy to turn the Commanders around. Obviously, we'll see what happens. I wish nothing but the best for Adam Peters. Of course, he's been nothing but fantastic on the Niners. But as Niners fans, a lot of people are looking at this as a massive loss. Like, we still have John Lynch, right? Like, John Lynch has really been the mastermind behind it all. Adam Peters has just kind of helped him and has been his right-hand man for the past, 3 seasons. He's been the right-hand man for John Lynch. So it's a loss, don't get me wrong. You never want to see one of your top executives go, but at the end of the day, like, this was inevitable. Like, this was going to happen sooner or later. And again, I said yesterday, like, there was never a better time for Adam Peters to move on than I think this year is, this offseason is. And obviously the interview goes well with the Commanders, with Josh Harris and at his Miami condo. The interview went on for hours and hours all the way into the evening. And when that report came out, I kind of knew that Adam Peters would be leaving. Again, I would expect guys like Clint Kubiak, even Steve Wilks. I would expect some of those guys to even be, heavily pursued and potentially even leaving as well with Adam Peters. So the Niners could have some new coaches, some new executives next year. I guess going into next year. But as far as the Niners, we lost Adam Peters, but there's really nothing to worry about, man. As long as we have Kyle Shanahan and as long as we have John Lynch, this team's going to be completely fine. So, and here's another thing too, like, Adam Peters was John Lynch's right-hand man because Adam Peters has a lot of experience in being a general manager and leading, in the front office as an executive. And the reason that John Lynch hired him was because John Lynch had no prior experience to managing an NFL team or any really front office experience. The only experience John Lynch had was, television and broadcasting, and obviously he played in the NFL for quite some time. But, the main reason John Lynch hired Adam Peters in the beginning was because John Lynch never had this type of experience as a general manager. And Adam Peters kind of, I guess you could say showed him the ways in some way, shape, or form. And, Adam Peters really, really helped develop this roster that the Niners currently have. So I hate to see him go, but at the same time, the Niners are going to be fine, man. Like, there's nothing to worry about there. Out goes one, in comes another. That's kind of the way I'm looking at this. Like, the Niners will fill this role. They may even promote somebody within house to fill in for Adam Peters. But, again, nobody else more deserving than Adam Peters to get the role that he got. General manager and head football of operations. So, obviously, congrats to Adam Peters on his new role with the Commanders. The Niners lost a great one, but at the same time, I don't. There's no doubt in my mind that the Niners will fill this role with a very talented guy like Adam Peters, and they'll continue their success. So Adam Peters officially hired as the Washington Commanders' new general manager. Obviously, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But yeah, again, congrats to Adam Peters. Nobody else more deserving. And obviously, now Adam Peters will lead the Commanders and lead the interviews and the pursuit in finding another head coach for the Washington Commanders. And I'll say this as a Commanders fan, and I'll end off on this. As a Commanders fan, I would be very, very comfortable and happy that Adam Peters is the guy hiring and looking for their next head coach. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's very, very talented in what he does, very highly touted, hence to why he's been pursued, over the past 2 to 3 years to be, some other teams' general managers. But the Commanders get him in the end. So obviously, congrats to the Commanders. It's a great hire. Great for Josh Harris and that new ownership as well. So, farewell, Adam Peters. I didn't expect this move to come until after the season, but I guess, like I said, with Adam Peters, like, he doesn't need to be with the 49ers the remainder of the year. He's not a coach by any means necessary, and there's really no reason for him to stick around for the remainder of the season. Like, the Commanders have a lot to do in their own regard, and obviously the biggest thing for Adam Peters right now is to find a head coach for his Washington Commanders. So obviously, let me know what you guys think of this hiring by the Commanders in the comments down below. And yeah, as always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.